This is your power brother, and I am encouraging our people to wake up to be radical thinkers for a changed mindset. And like I say, I'm not your news. I just speak on the issues to give you the solution from my perspective. And the solution for us as people is unlearning and relearning and reprogramming ourselves, addressing the trauma for true healing so we can really rebuild to truly have power to unite as people. We must address the trauma. We must check in with ourselves, unlearn and re-educate ourselves, do our homework, and know what happened to us because something happened to us. And we need to just work on self-love and stop the self-hating. And I just want to make a tribute to Jim Brown, the legend, football player, the activist, the man I love to speak of, the tribute for what he done in society and life, on the field, then out the field, that I speak of highly because this is what we need more for our black elites, for us the entertainers, the superstars. Need our people to stand up and unite and come together as a group of people and stop forgetting about us as people just because y'all got wealth, wherever the case can be. Money don't divide us. It's a choice to be divided with your own people. It's a choice to stand up and make a change for our society, for our community. It's a choice to sit down and don't do nothing. Jim Brown was a legend and he made a choice to change and be an activist and be for his people. It was a choice. Like he's saying here in this video I'm going to show, the minute you born into this world being black, they showing you that you a nigga and they going to treat you like a nigga. And you born in a system where they in control and you got to fight for your dignity, your respect, and your rights to stand your ground for who you are as a person. He was 87, 1936 to 2023. We lost him recently. And he was a legend. I just love to show tribute to a person, a man, a father, that somebody has stood out that made a difference for our community, regardless of money. I'm going to play this clip in certain spots in this clip. I'm going to show you where his mind was at, how he stood apart from any other athlete. And we need to see more out of this from our athletes to this very day because the fight continues. It's still going on, and it's one or the other. You're going to stand up and fight, or you're going to allow the system to keep taking control of us and using us as people. The fight continues. Give me a second. Just give me a second.
And I'll tell you why I'm the way that I am. It doesn't start on the field. It starts as a person. I was dealing with race since I was born. And in my inner self, my strength was unbending when it came to accepting that BS, racial discrimination, because I was never going to let anybody make me feel that I was not top shelf. And that was the battle that raged. And I could use a lot of that on the field.
You see how he talked highly of himself, that he was one gonna bend, one gonna break. He wasn't gonna allow the system and them racist people to tell him what to do and put him in that position or in that cage, even in the NFL or wherever he went. This man made a statement of standing up for himself, but standing up for his people. Because he lit a torch of saying enough is enough. If you pay attention, he tell you how you're gonna bend, you're gonna bend over, you're gonna sit down, or you're gonna stand upright. Regardless of all the talent this man had, he made a choice to stand up to fight and push back against this system that's holding us back since the 50s and 60s. And y'all need to understand this fight, it continues, it's still going on. You should be rather in the fight instead of sitting back fighting your own people, because it does not benefit us fighting our own people. The system is beating our asses as a group, and we got to acknowledge something happened to us as a group while we choose to fight each other, to stay separated and stay chasing the damn bag. You can listen from this brother, his 87 years, tell you money didn't change him. And he made a choice in life to stand up to make a difference in life and the time he had on this earth. He wanted to be a man with stature and impact for his people and for a man in general. I admire this man. I always known of him and followed his story to a certain extent. And I'm just mind blowing for us the type of man he really was at his time to really come around, be a leader in those times for us around Michael X and Muhammad Ali. He was a big brother to him, and you can see why. You know, he's a big stature brother as well, and he demand respect on the field and off the field. You know, I got to understand there was a time where the black elites or wealthy people got treated just well as the people 9-to-5 jobs. We was forced to go through the back door, and it didn't make no difference if you was wealthy, you was an entertainer, or you was superstar, whatever you want to call it, you know, doing movies, you know, you still are comedian or artist. Sammy Davis Jr., he speak of, they had to use the same back door, certain hotels they couldn't use. And, you know, they came from the segregation times. That's what set times apart where our people stood together, because they got treated in the same way together. You know, they rallied behind that, I believe, for a fact, because they all got treated different. I mean, the same. They got treated differently from what the white people was getting treated. You know, segregation. You couldn't drink out their water fountain. You couldn't go to their restaurants. You couldn't sit down here. You had to sit on the back of the bus. You know, it's a lot that y'all gonna understand that our people stood up for, and we must stand up and take their torch and keep on pushing forward and be a fighter and stand up for our respect, stand up for reparations, stand up and demand for a change for our community, demand our reparations that can help our community. We got to stop allowing the system to control us. You got to understand it's the program, it's the thinking. You're going to hear him, Jim Brown, even speak of himself. So give me a second. I'm going to speed up to another part that I love.
You going to be a football player when you grow up?
'88.
This Thursday, one day only, earn a 40-cent Hy-Vee fuel saver for every $60 you...
Don't mind ads.
Amer I Can was Brown's answer to the epidemic of gang violence in the inner city.
I don't think that there could be anything any more important than to keep young people from killing each other. Over what? A red rag, a blue rag? That's a terrible mindset to think that there are thousands of young people out there that's willing to shoot someone or willing to go to the penitentiary.
Just listen. He said mindset. That's something I've been saying every day on my podcast. That's something I always preach of. Mindset. We must change the mind. We must reprogram ourselves. How can we have a mindset where we literally fight each other and we all was enslaved as people and divided as people and conquered as people and kidnapped and lynched as people? You got to understand we have been conditioned and brainwashed in this system to fight each other, to hate each other, to disrespect each other. Our problems are mental. We must reprogram ourselves to change as people. Let me get back to it.
As if that is some sign of glory. The approach was to go into the belly of the beast and turn those lives around. We are not going to change this world through guns and soldiers and violence. It will be through love and understanding. And the first person you've got to love is yourself.
Woo!
I was there for grad.
You got to love yourself. Self-love. You got to love yourself before you love anyone else. That's the problem. We have too much hate in our community. You got to love yourself before you love anybody else. You can't say you love this woman or love this and love that if you ain't loving yourself. You got to understand something happened to us. You got to understand the hate that we have in our community is the problem. Why we choose to hate each other. Why we choose to not even value your own life and you take another life. It's the hate. You got to love life, but you got to love yourself to love life. You got to love the air that you breathe in because we are beautiful people. You got to love the skin that you in because we are beautiful and unique people with a wide nose and big lips. It's the reason why the Egyptians left statues so they can remind you the beautiful things that we are and who we are, remind you of your beauty. It's the reason why they built so much because we are unique people. We are creators and inventor people. You got to understand who we are. You got to understand what happened to us, damaged us. And if we don't address the trauma, we can never have a true change in our community, in our environment. We must change the program to change our environment, change our lives. Get back to it.
Graduation, we met with gang members in a room where some pretty heavy conversation, and I was worried about, third and five. This conversation was way above that.
We traveled all over the country together, meeting with mayors, meeting with wardens, Department of Education representatives, and just pushing and grinding, trying to get the program in various prisons and juvenile camps and schools. He created a tool to deal with the undercurrent of problems, not the symptom of the problem, but the real problem, which is self-esteem, self-worth, and your childhood conditioning.
Woo! Self-esteem, self-worth, self-love, self-understanding, because we are lost. We are lost people. We have not found ourselves. We are lost, and we are conditioned to self-hate each other, to disrespect each other, because we're not loving ourselves. We got to address the problem. We got to address what happened to us so we can really build. We got to have a tool that I'm building within our community for us as people to rebuild ourselves so we can really heal for rebuilding and self-healing. We must address what happened to us. Because you cannot heal if you do not know what happened to you. If you don't heal, we will not grow. This is why we have not grown. We have been destroying ourselves because we are lost in our identity. Most of us don't know our history. Most of us don't know what happened to us. Most of us don't even read because they expect the damn schools is going to give it to you. This is why we're failing as people, because we done lost our identity. We done lost our history, and we must walk back and go back and grab our identity, grab our blackness, grab our power from our ancestors. We must wake up and embrace who we are and embrace the people before us, like this brother Jim Brown, that was a legend that chose to stand up regardless that he was rich and stayed in the damn mansion. He was going out in the belly of the beast, talking to the goons, talking to the gangsters that's out there fighting each other, and he was making a change. And we got so many more rich people to this day, and they ain't making no change. Do you think they doing something for the Thanksgiving Day, the day of killing? If you know your history, you know what happened on that true day, 1637. But Just giving out turkeys is not going to empower us as people. When Christmas come around, just giving out toys is not going to empower us as people. We must address the trauma and work on rebuilding ourselves for healing ourselves. We must empower ourselves as people, and it starts with yourself. You got to love yourself to stop hating yourself so you can stop hating each other. You got to stop the hate and love yourself to love each other. We must change. Reprogram the thinking will reprogram our society. It will change everything that you see among you. You must work on your identity. You must work on your knowledge of self. We are lost when we must take time out to read books, reprogram ourselves, research, and do our homework and understand something happened to us to empower us as people. We must do this, my people. I got a solid direction. This is going to be a tool for us as people. But we got to acknowledge, we got to wake up and acknowledge the trauma so we can really rebuild ourselves as people. And go back to it.
Even when the sidewalk is broken, if there's a little crack of dirt, a flower or blossoms comes out, Jim worked in the cracks to let the flowers blossom.
For a man whose influence is so vast, the ultimate change that Brown effected wasn't on football or Hollywood, or even civil rights, but on individual lives.
I'm sitting in the county jail, and
that's exactly my approach, man. I want y'all to really understand what I'm trying to do for us within Power Inc. My main focus is on our identity. My main focus is on the individual, empowering the individual, work on the trauma, work on the psyche, work on the mindset, and reprogram that person for healing, for rebuilding, for really self-love. I'm all about the person, I'm focused on the individual. If you're a better person, you'll be a better person in your family, in your community, in your life, in our group. We must face our problems as peoples, as individuals. We must address the trauma because we can actually change the narrative somewhat overnight if we just really wake up for change. If we really acknowledge self-destruction, going to the liquor store after the liquor store after the liquor store, making everybody more wealthier than our own peoples, and self-destruction, killing ourselves with alcoholism and everything else, man. It's hurting us as people, and we got to be honest. We're hurting as people. We're trauma people. We cannot expect to grow and really rebuild as people if we ain't addressed the trauma. You got to understand what happened to us to understand where we stand to this very day. You got to know to understand. You must understand and overstand to empower yourself well, empower the group. If you're a better person, you'll be a better human being to society, to our environment, to our group, to our community, to our families, and our lives. We must address the problem. That's what powerinc's about, addressing the problem. And this is the trauma. And we got to be brutally honest. Something happened to us so we can really work on rebuilding ourselves for true healing. This is what we must do. I'm going to play a little bit more of this video and I'm going to wrap it up.
I was about to get out. He said, I got a job for you. I said, doing what, Jim? As a production assistant. What? As a PA? What is that? Well, it wasn't for Jim making me a production assistant, which led to Denny Claremont, which led to Antoine Fuqua. I'll be in somebody's penitentiary, or I'll be out there at Inglewood Cemetery.
When people help you, the next thing is for you to help people. As I analyze being on this earth, why are we here? I imagine to be a better person and to help others. I don't know what else is valuable. It's real simple.
Brown remains.
Did you hear that? How he looked on life, what it means to him to being helped, to give back, to help others. This man was remarkable, encouraging, inspirational, beautiful stand-up man for his people. And he didn't say a damn thing about no damn money. He spoke about change, and he spoke about making a change for us in this community, you know. And he talked about giving back, you know, because he was gifted physically in a sport and mentally as being an activist, you know. But y'all want to still rock Jordans. Y'all still want to talk about Kanye West. These people that sell out their own people, you know. You call it what you want. I'm not the one to divide us even more where we at. I'm here to wake us up, to unite us as people, but we got to be brutally honest of our problems as people. It's not nobody out there like Jim Brown. He was an entrepreneur, but he was a highly intelligent, woke brother for his people. He made a choice to stand up. It's a part in this clip they tell you when he stopped playing football. They tried. I guess he was going into being movies, and he was gonna be running late for the next season. And he said, "I'm gonna be running." They said they're gonna find him. He told him right then and there. He said he quit, done with it, cause he was done being controlled, man. He was done with it, and he didn't let the money take control of him. He rather be free and fighting another battle for us in Hollywood, and being an actor, making a difference in another industry for Denzel Washington and so many more, man, that people, you ask me, really don't stay out here and make a difference in. There's so much people out here with wealth that can make a difference in other people's lives. We all just chasing a bag, and it's not the solution, man. You know, I believe Denzel Washington said, you know, and our ancestors before, Egypt's tried to take the Jews with them, but I think, for my perspective, the Jews and everything didn't mean nothing to them. That's why they did what they did back in those times. And they was for their people, you know. I don't like to talk about our ancestors whatsoever, because they was very advanced. They was united as people, and they was 10 times better than where we at as people, you know. We got to acknowledge something happened to us, to go back in our past to re-strengthen ourselves as people, you know, because the Egyptians and the Moors and so many of our people, the Kushites, so many of our people was amazing people. We built the most amazing things to this day. We left sculptures and artifacts, you name it, that told us our history, told us that we love our blackness and we're one with the only one, you know. We're one with the universe. We're one with the land. We're one with the sun. That's why the sun gives us energy. Our people are so advanced, it's mind-blowing. They still don't know what they did, because it's not meant for them to know. It's meant for you to know African. It's meant for you to know when you're woke and you're embracing your African identity. Wake up, man.
As inspirational as ever, guiding a new generation.
We first met at a mutual friend's wedding, and then we got into this great conversation that turned into a chess game, and ever since we've been chess partners, you know. So I go out to his home, and there's times when we've sat out by the pool and we played chess for 6-7 hours straight.
I flew out to his home in LA, and he sat on the couch, and I'm like a little kid, so I got on the floor. So I would look up to him, and he started explaining things. Jim Brown is giving me a mission. Jim Brown is passing the torch to me to go out and do things in the communities now that he's done. How big is that?
He's become a family man. He's got kids. I think he respects other people's space more than he did before.
He's mellowed. He has realized we have to take everybody's perspective into consideration before we move forward.
When you think about historical figures, many of these individuals were excellent in one area. Jim's a guy who managed to impact multiple areas. The change that he represented, I think he's one of the most important athletes and one of the most important cultural figures in American history, plain and simple.
Plain and simple, that we don't have a direction because we busy fighting each other as people. Plain and simple, this brother stood up regardless what he had in account. This brother stood up regardless where he stood at or where he lived at. This brother made a change in his own life, if you know the story. Then he made changes in other lives because he loved his blackness and he understand the point and the reasons to stand up as a man and give back to his people, because it don't benefit us as people sitting back allowing this system to take control of us as people. It doesn't doesn't benefit us to stay sitting and staying divided as he stayed rich. He didn't allow that to happen. He was a mentor and he was an amazing person. He was a legend that stood up for human rights and stood up for us black people and stood up for himself and stood up for the people. He was a true activist. He was in the community. He was actually doing what Nipsey Hussle, before Nipsey Hussle did what he was doing. He was bringing the Crips and Bloods together. It was getting them all together and getting them all on the same damn page, getting them on code. This is what we need to do as people. Wake up and get all on code. Have an understanding something happened to us so we can really rebuild as people and have a true healing time. We must do this. Ain't nobody gonna do it, you know. It'd be nice one of these super rich people out there to make a change, get woke, but we must work on ourselves as people, because last time I checked, man, we're fighting and killing each other left and right, and the time is now. It's time to stand up to be a freedom fighter. It's time to stand up to embrace your black identity, because I am your Pan African brother, and I choose to fight. I'm a revolutionary brother, and I choose to be a warrior. I choose to be woke. I choose to make a stand. I stand for my people. I stand for my blackness. I stand for our ancestors like they stood for us. I choose to make a difference instead of sitting back and allowing this system to control us, allowing this system to keep us divided, allowing this system to keep us in positions, chasing the bag, fighting our brothers and sisters, staying divided. I choose to stand like Jim Brown, the legend. I choose to make a difference in my community because we desperately need it, and we need more men to stand up like Jim Brown. I'll play some more of the video. I just love hearing about the man, the legend, Jim Brown.
Up next.
This represents one of the highest moments in my life. Well, what do you think?
Come on, commercial. Excuse my commercials. Yes, I'm not. Well, I guess that's it.
I won.
But let me just wrap it up. Thank you to the legend Jim Brown. Thank you for what you did. Thank you for how you stood up and being a black man for us as people. Thank you for the tribute for all what you did in our community. Thank you for the skills that you did on the football field. And let me tell you, brother with 8 rushing titles in 9 seasons, 3 MVPs he held, over 12,000 rushes and yards, 106 rushing touchdowns, never missed a game. Never missed a game. Big 32, Jim Brown. Brother was the truth. He was the truth. He was a activist. He was a woke revolutionary brother for our community. and he made a difference with all the different positions and choices he made. He made a difference being a football player. He made a difference being an actor. He made a difference being an activist. But y'all won't see it and you won't be it unless you stand up and be woke to see what we must do and to address our problems. You don't see it because you continue to use the old program. You don't see the fight because you busy taking the jab or sitting back. You know, Jim Brown didn't take no damn jabs. He didn't sit back. He stood up and fought back. He was a fighter. He was a man that demanded respect. He was the man that made changes in lives in his own life. He was a man instead of a man that sit down, instead of a man that turn the cheek, instead of the man that don't care about his black community, instead of the man that stay in his mansion, that love all his wealth, instead of the man talk about the money and don't talk about the problem, instead of the man separating himself from his people because he had wealth and he stay in a big house. He wasn't that. He was a legend. And I just want to say thank you to the legend himself, Jim Brown. Rest at ease as I and others in the woke community as standing upright, B1 revolutionaries, Pan African realists still push for change and fight for a difference. Like I say, knowledge is power. It can change your thought process, and your thoughts will change your behavior, and that'll trickle down into your actions. Once you acknowledge the trauma, you can rebuild yourself for healing yourself for change. Fact of the matter is, we are traumatized and trauma people, programmed and conditioned in the system. Be awakened for a changed mindset. Be awakened for a changed identity. Be awakened for a changed environment. It's time for us to change, my people. Change the program, address the trauma for rebuilding and healing us as people. That's what we must do. Work on knowledge of self. Knowledge of self. Don't just pray on it. We act on it, stand on it, work on it. The mental. Research. Do your homework. Improve yourself so you can be more of an impact for your family, for your friends, for your community, for your people, so we can actually unite and actually have true power. Thank you for listening. I am your power brother, and I encourage you to wake up for change, to be a radical thinker for a change mindset. Put down your guns, be a responsible gun owner. The time is now to fight and stand up. So next time, my people, protect each other, unite with each other, stay power. Peace. Hold tight.